Another rendition of my Project X template. This template here is just me fooling around with different Autodesk products. I'm an Autodesk developer, publisher, and author for Autodesk. I published videos many years ago, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And I still fool around with the software quite a bit. And in this version here, I'm looking at the construction side of BIM, not the architectural, not the engineering, but just the construction side of it, since construction is starting to play a vital role in the BIM process. What I developed here was actually a stud calculator and something that help construction managers during their the scheduling process, scheduling and costing process. I know that novice work is pretty good for the 4D scheduling, but this component here will help novice work with the 4D scheduling. And if you want to, you could create the 4D scheduling in Revit, but it's a little more challenging than what novice works will give you. So what I have here is the original Project X template, which I tried to complete in like 25 minutes or so, fully detailed. And those details can also be used by the construction manager or construction company at the early phase of the design. And so with that said, I'll switch to 3D here to show the building. It's partially complete. I only did one unit, and you can kind of see I started HVAC grills in, the ceiling, the ductwork, some of the electrical components and so forth. To the right, you kind of see I started to frame the building out with these additional components. These additional components will give me the actual stud count for each one that I'm drawing. So this special component that I created, I'll show it in front here so you can kind of see what it looks like. You know, it's just like a wall, but it's actually the actual stud count, and there's studs for a wall, and then I can configure this any kind of way I want it, based on what the construction company or construction manager is telling me. Now I can adjust the spacing to 24 inches or 16 inches, 18 inches, you know, whatever I want. You know, I can, you know, do an offset for the seal, do an offset for the header, etc. So what this does is, you know, placing this into Revit, you know, where every place a stud is supposed to be. You know, when you go to novice work, you can actually simulate the construction process. So you can bring in your concrete foundations or whatever, and if the stud is the next thing that goes up, you know, this actually can show up in the actual simulation. And once the stud shows up and then the actual wall comes in, the wall that comes in is actually going to simulate the actual drywall or whatever it is the interior material is for that wall. And with that said, you know, you can get a cost associated with the studs. You can do asset management or deal with the studs for recyclables. So if the owner one day says, hey, you know, this building is supposed to be condemned, you know, I don't want to take a complete loss on it, I can, you know, recycle the studs at a certain price, and I know how many studs that's in this building. I have the BIM, and instead of the owner taking a complete loss, he can actually gain some type of value or insight from that. And this also even breaks down to doing window openings, door openings, and etc. So, you know, in the BIM process, this IDP process now, since the construction manager is coming on board, the architect can design in BIM and share the file with the construction manager, where he can come behind him and start placing the studs in, you know, based on, you know, the architect spec. And the only thing this is doing is just improving the construction and the architectural engineering field. You know, give me a little time. I'm running about 2 gigs of RAM on this laptop. It's fairly fast, so it's super slow. And then again, here comes door opening. So I can actually start to frame, you know, what this building's going to look like or what the opening be. I'm sure I'm not going to have a quick opening for a door, but I'll start at 5 or something like that. And you can see that these openings are created. And one thing that's nice about Revit and its parameters is that, you know, all of this stuff can be updated. So like this one here is saying I have about a seal height of 2 feet. I could change that to whatever the spec is, and I can even lower the header height. In this picture here, the header height is not shown because it's crop view, but I would show it below the crop view, so that way you can kind of see what this window opening is going to look like. And you see all that stuff adjusts. And I got this little more. You got the step wall. And with the stud wall, I mean, you guys won't see this, but it's telling me how many studs I have. So this wall here has 28 studs in it. And all that goes right into a schedule in Revit. And then that information can be extracted out of Revit and placed into the construction manager's BIM side or whatever it is you use to track costs or track the studs or whatever. That's one thing that's nice about Revit. It's like most of this information is in Revit. So a lot of people say, well, Revit can't do everything. Basically it can, because all these other programs that tap into Revit, where is it getting its information from? It's getting its information from the BIM, it's getting it from Revit. And for even the door, I can even change the header height for the door. So you can see, I was playing around with the header height. You can see that it changed. This one's higher than this one, and this one's obviously lower as well. And the seal height is also changed. So then that you can dimension this, you can do whatever you want with it, but you keep placing these components inside of the building, it gives the construction manager insight of what's going on with the project. So that's probably my construction side of this 3D IDP, I'm calling it. I haven't actually done a tutorial start from finish. I keep doing all these broken pieces just because I'm developing these different methodologies. And this one here took me around about 4 months to develop a step because of all the advanced calculations I had to do in the formulas, and to make the formulas read each other, make them work, make it read into the schedules, make it make it go across platforms. So it gets a little complicated, especially with Revit changing. So now I finished this in the 2013 platform, but here comes 2014. And 2014 could change some things, which could make this a little difficult, or it could exactly just tap in and work right out of the box. But this is just another tutorial that I'm completing for Revit to show that it is a complete solution for BIM and for the architecture, engineering, construction field. It's designed to save money, and that it does. It saves money with the time of how long it takes to design, develop, and implement the AEC industry.